A prominent B2B trading company, once renowned for its solid reputation and exceptional returns, found itself setting record lows. The downward spiral began about 7 months ago when Jake, a 29-year-old manager, was promoted to the position of general manager. In the initial months of his leadership, Jake struggled to demonstrate the necessary skills and expertise required for the role. Despite this, he was quite confident in his appearance and authority. He selected the highly competent Chloe from the procurement department to serve as his secretary. Unlike Jake, Chloe had the required education and understood what was expected of her in the position. Chloe had always aspired to build a career rather than relying on her husband for financial support. She believed that she could achieve success independently, and the means to that end were of secondary importance. By this time, office morale had plummeted, with staff members harboring distrust towards the new management. Jake's inability to issue paychecks on time and his cancellation of bonuses alienated him from his colleagues. Lacking a business mindset, Jake reveled in his position, focusing more on spending the company's capital than on growing it. This approach led the company towards a downfall. A longtime employee who had worked at the company for 7 years warned Jake that new contracts were not generating profits and that collaboration with certain companies was depleting the company's resources. In response, the employee was falsely accused of misconduct and dismissed. This event served as a cautionary tale for the remaining staff, illustrating that their new boss did not appreciate unsolicited advice. Consequently, the staff silently endured Jake's thoughtless strategies as he remained fixated on his own image and the title on his office door. The company continued to face one problem after another due to Jake's inexperience. It became necessary to implement layoffs and close several branches as there was no money to sustain them. Jake had secured his position through strategic planning. He married Pam, the only daughter of the company's former owner, Mr. Curtis Simpson. Sadly, Mr. Simpson succumbed to cancer 7 months ago, leaving his family devastated. Fortunately, he had witnessed Pam's marriage to Jake, assuring him that she would not be alone. Mr. Simpson had been concerned that Pam might struggle to manage the company by herself. As the legal heir to all of Mr. Simpson's assets, Pam would have been overwhelmed with responsibility. Mr. Simpson had worked diligently to establish his business, building it from the ground up through hard work and focus. He began his career as an engineer in a factory and ventured into trade during tough economic times when salaries were often delayed. As a result of his dedication, he married late in life, and Pam was born when the Simpsons were over 40 years old. Mrs. Simpson had always been in delicate health, which made it difficult for the couple to conceive a child. The family was disheartened by this as they longed for a son or daughter. Despite doctors' warnings about potential dangers, Daisy was determined to become a mother. However, complications arose during labor that could not be avoided. Curtis lost his wife that day, but she left behind their long-awaited baby, Pam. The responsibility of caring for the infant, grappling with the loss of his wife, and managing the company all fell upon Curtis's shoulders. Little Pam spent most of her time with her nanny, Mrs. Tony, who became a lifesaver for Curtis and a mother figure to Pam. Mrs. Tony adored Pam, witnessing her first steps and hearing her first words. She taught Pam letters and numbers and accompanied her on her first day of school. Unable to remarry due to his deep love for Daisy, Mr. Simpson took pride and found happiness in Pam, who excelled in school, bringing home good grades and numerous certificates. After high school, Pam earned her degree in England. She dreamed of becoming an actress and eagerly anticipated attending art school. However, Mr. Simpson insisted that she study business, dismissing her aspirations as frivolous. Upon Pam's return home with her degree, Mr. Simpson was already terminally ill. Wanting her to focus on building her own life, he hoped she would find a partner and settle down before his time came. But Pam chose to remain close to her father in their hometown. "Honey, I want you to find someone soon," he told Pam. "You have everything you need for a career. I'm more worried about your personal life. I just want to be sure that you're loved and there's someone who can take good care of you. Don't listen to those businesswomen who claim they don't need anyone," Mr. Simpson advised his daughter. "Why rush, Dad? I'm not even 25 yet." Pam smiled. "Everything has its time, Dad. Please don't worry. I will survive," she added. Pam never struggled to attract attention from potential suitors. She was well-groomed, attractive, and able to converse on any topic. Shortly after graduation, she hosted a reunion at her home for her friends. Many things had changed while Pam was away, and there were numerous unfamiliar faces. That's when she met Jake. He appeared to be a cool guy, not pushy, but skilled at maintaining Pam's interest in him. "Can I count on another meeting sometime, outside of this fancy house?" Jake asked, offering her a drink. "Where would you be willing to take me?" Pam inquired playfully. She appreciated Jake's approach and wanted to give him a chance. "What do you think about a picnic? The weather is so lovely these days. We can sit in the park, have some snacks, and hang out." That's so romantic," Pam smiled. "That would be wonderful." As time passed, Pam didn't realize how she had fallen in love with Jake. He turned out to be exactly the type of guy she had dreamed of. She felt comfortable with him and was never bored in his company. Their relationship progressed naturally, but with each passing day, they yearned to be even closer. Eventually, they began contemplating marriage. "Pam, Jake's a handsome young man. I like him," Mr. Simpson once remarked after dinner. "But promise me this, if he's your choice for a partner and you end up together, please get a prenup. I need to be sure about your future." "Of course, Dad. Let me talk to Jake and see what he says." However, after Mr. Simpson's sudden passing, Pam grieved for a while before marrying Jake. In the beginning, Jake was an attentive and caring husband. He treated Pam's loss with understanding and respect. Her friends envied her, as Jake was so supportive and courted her exceptionally well. But as soon as Jake assumed Mr. Simpson's position in the company, things changed. Work began to consume most of Jake's time, and the couple started having arguments. Before long, Pam noticed signs of infidelity in Jake and became increasingly convinced that she wasn't imagining things. Jake always had explanations for her questions and never admitted any wrongdoing. He acted as if Pam was the one being irrational and insisted there was no cause for arguments. "What do you want me to say to make you believe me?" Jake shrugged, trying to reach Pam. "I love you and only you. I don't need anyone else. Trust me." "How can I trust you after smelling a strange perfume on your clothes? How do you expect me to stay calm after that? I don't know what you're doing at work," Pam cried. "I think you're paranoid. You need to calm down. I believe you're still thinking about your father." Jake comforted his wife and put her to bed, but his assurances failed to convince her. Her suspicions only grew when she discovered that the company was facing financial difficulties. The workers were outraged, while Jake boasted that the company had achieved record-high profits in the last quarter. He enthusiastically outlined a growth strategy for the next few years. Pam knew she had to do something to expose Jake. She pondered over a secret plan for several weeks. When she was finally ready to take action, she greeted Jake at breakfast, gave him a kiss, and joined him. "Honey, I thought about what you said the other day." Pam began, noticing Jake's questioning expression. "That I was tired of worrying and couldn't let go of my loss. I think you were right. I should have listened to you earlier." "That's what I'm talking about, baby. You're in such a good mood today." "Well, that's because I booked a ticket to the Maldives, and I'm leaving tomorrow. I decided to give myself a break and step away from all this for a while. I want to try to let go and change my environment," Pam explained. "Are you sure you can do it all alone without me? I can take a few days off if you want me to," Jake offered, feigning concern. "Don't worry, I can handle it. You go ahead and work. Thanks for worrying about me." The next day, Jake insisted on taking her to the airport, just to be sure. He dropped her off and drove back to the office. But Pam didn't leave the country that morning. Jake was already relaxed at work, knowing that Pam wouldn't be around for a week. He wasn't even aware that there was a new janitor at the office, Brandy. Her appearance made some people laugh and others feel uneasy. The woman had a lump on her back and wore a bun in her unkempt hair. At first glance, she seemed to be in her 40s, but upon closer inspection, she appeared much younger. Despite her appearance, she was hired. The previous janitor had left the job due to health problems. The hiring office didn't care who the janitor was, as long as the office spaces were kept clean. Brandy wasn't welcomed warmly, and she wasn't talkative either. She had an odd gaze that often unnerved people. She did her job well but was allergic to cleaning substances, so she sometimes sneezed and her eyes swelled. Some people were understanding, but others made remarks. Once, Jake was passing by her in the hallway. He saw her sneezing and looked at her with disgust. "You're spreading your germs all over the place by sneezing like that." The woman didn't say anything and just continued doing her job. Jake went on to scold the hiring manager. "What kind of a creep have you hired? Look at her. She stinks and sneezes all over the office." Mitchell got up and immediately confronted Brandy. "If you don't stop sneezing, you're out. Understand?" Mitchell told her. Brandy put away the chemicals, deciding to stop using them temporarily. As a result, Brandy stopped sneezing. Jake and Mitchell were later seen laughing at Brandy sneezing, but she didn't care that people made fun of her. It was clear that her job was important to her and she wasn't going to argue with anyone. She figured that janitors weren't always treated well anyway. One evening, Brandy stayed late to clean the offices and was tidying up Jake's office. While dusting, she accidentally knocked a few folders off the desk. Papers scattered across the floor and she began picking them up. In the process, she couldn't help but skim them. She stopped and studied one particular document. At that moment, Jake entered the room, embracing Chloe, the secretary. The couple was so engrossed in their passionate kiss that they didn't even notice the janitor in the corner on her knees, looking at the papers. "I'm tired of being your mistress," Chloe whispered to Jake. "Give me some time, baby. It's almost ready. I've fixed all the papers. We'll get rid of her soon. Her accounts will be empty and we'll take off to South America." "I can't wait for that to happen, baby," Chloe replied. When Brandy heard their words, she almost choked, but she kept her cool and hid under the table. She slowly exited the room and ran to the bathroom. A few days later, Jake was sitting in a conference room waiting for the management of a competitor company. They were going to discuss the acquisition of the company. Soon, they arrived and began the negotiations. When the competitor was ready to sign the necessary papers, Brandy walked in. "What the heck are you doing here? Don't you see we're having an important meeting?" "Get out of here, or you'll get fired," Jake yelled, worrying that the competitor might change their mind at any moment. Brandy didn't utter a single word. She quietly turned around, and just as they waited for her to leave the room, she removed her wig in front of everyone, letting her stunning, silky hair down. She had washed off her makeup before entering the conference room, hiding her face with the wig in front of Jake. He was shocked to realize what was happening. "Good morning, everyone," Pam greeted the people sitting around the table. At that moment, a few lawyers representing her interests entered the room. Jake was at a loss for words, mumbling something incomprehensible. He knew what was about to happen. He stood up and approached Pam, trying to hug her. She didn't let him touch her. He then did something nobody expected. He got down on his knees and began asking for forgiveness. "Baby, let me explain something to you. You just don't understand. Please don't make any quick decisions. I have a perfect plan. This was all planned, alright?" But Pam wasn't convinced at all. "I gave you everything. I put a roof over your head. I'll let you take control of the company, and this is how you repay me?" Pam asked with a smirk on her face. "Honey, I wasn't going to sell the company. I was just discussing a partnership with them," Jake explained. Pam hesitated, giving Jake a glimmer of hope. "Yeah, you could be right. That's a good idea. By the way, I know you didn't come up with that on your own. I'm sure someone helped you," Pam teased Jake. "No, baby, it was my idea," Jake quickly replied. It really seemed like it was Chloe's style though." Pam smiled at Jake, who at that moment realized she knew everything. The competitors were flabbergasted witnessing the scene unfold. After involving lawyers and the police, the company was restored. Jake was charged with embezzlement of company resources and withholding staff salaries. Jake and Chloe were embarrassed and broken. Chloe would now have a hard time finding employment as it was discovered that she was Jake's partner in crime. Pam took on the position of the chief executive officer of the company and worked to fix all the mistakes that had been made. Her degree in business helped her a lot in this process. She was grateful that her father had insisted on it back when she wanted to be an actress. A year later, Pam was a confident executive. During negotiations, she met Michael, who would later become her husband. Michael owned a partner company, and when he saw the intelligent and beautiful woman, he didn't waste any time. He asked Pam out and discovered that she was attracted to him as well. They were happy and confident in each other's trust. As their relationship grew stronger, they realized they complemented each other perfectly, both professionally and personally. Michael admired Pam's resilience and determination, while Pam appreciated Michael's honesty and kindness. Together, they continued to build on the success of their respective companies. The partnership between their business strengthened, leading to increased profits and industry recognition. One day, Pam received an invitation to attend her high school reunion. She hesitated, thinking about the last time she'd hosted such an event and the painful memories it brought back. However, Michael encouraged her to face her past and attend, assuring her that he would be by her side. At the reunion, Pam's old friends marveled at her transformation from a grieving young woman into a successful and fulfilled executive. Pam and Michael eventually got married in a beautiful and intimate ceremony, surrounded by their closest friends and family. They vowed to support and love each other through all of life's challenges and joys. Years later, Pam and Michael had 2 children who inherited their parents' drive and compassion. They raised their family with love, understanding, and a strong sense of community, nurturing the values that had brought them together. Pam often thought about her father and how proud he would have been of her achievements. She knew that in her own way, she had honored his memory by overcoming adversity and building a life filled with love, success, and happiness. And so, Pam's story came full circle. From the depth of loss and despair, she had risen to find love, purpose, and fulfillment. What do you think of the story and characters? How would you handle things differently? Share your thoughts in the comments, as they may be helpful for those experiencing hardships. Please subscribe and hit the notification button. Thank you for